Just when you thought that the Trump government couldn't delay the release of the Epstein files, a shocking report emerged. The Justice Department is buried under piles of documents and is sifting through roughly 5.2 million pages that could be linked to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, a process officials say may not be completed until late January. The new figure shows the Justice Department faces a much larger undertaking than it suggested last week, when officials said the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office had identified over 1 million pages of material potentially connected to the Epstein files. The U.S. Justice Department disclosed that it will require about 400 lawyers from 4 separate department offices to complete the process of reviewing the latest documents through late January, according to a government document reviewed by Reuters on December 30th. The document noted that the scale of the review is likely to push the final release of the records well beyond the December 19th deadline set by Congress. According to the document, the Criminal Division, National Security Division, FBI, and the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office are collectively assigning about 400 attorneys to examine the files, a potentially far higher number than earlier estimates from the department. The review is scheduled to take place between January 5th and 23rd. To encourage participation, department leadership is offering telework options and time-off incentives, with participating lawyers expected to spend 3 to 5 hours daily reviewing roughly 1,000 documents each. The releases so far have been heavily redacted, angering some Republicans and failing to ease a controversy that could pose political risks for the party ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. Angry over the redactions, Representative Ro Khanna earlier slammed Attorney General Pam Bondi and said he and Representative Thomas Massie are looking at all options, including the impeachment of Pam Bondi.
The Justice Department's document dump this afternoon does not comply with Thomas Massie and my Epstein Transparency Act. They released one document from a New York grand jury of 119 pages, totally blacked out. This despite a federal judge ordering them to release that document. And our law requires them to explain redactions. There's not a single explanation for why that entire document was redacted. We have not seen the draft indictment that implicates other rich and powerful men who were on Epstein's rape island, who either watched the abuse of young girls or participated in the abuse of young girls and the sex trafficking. The reality is Pam Bondi has obfuscated for months. She first said there were no more documents to be seen. Now she's admitting and releasing hundreds of thousands of documents, but it is an incomplete release with too many redactions. Thomas Massie and I are exploring all options. It can be the impeachment of people at justice, inherent contempt, or referring for prosecution those who are obstructing justice. We will work with the survivors to demand the full release of these files, to demand justice for the Epstein class and accountability.
Earlier, on December 25th, when the DOJ informed the public about the discovery of millions more Epstein-related documents, Representative Thomas Massie took a dig at Bondi and posted a video on X with the caption, "So what you're saying is the files were never on at AG Pam Bondi's desk like she claimed in this video?"
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Trump has acknowledged knowing Epstein socially in the 1990s and early 2000s, but said the relationship ended in the mid-2000s and that he was unaware of any abuse. Epstein was convicted in Florida in 2008, charged with sex trafficking in 2019, and was later found dead in a New York jail that year, with his death ruled a suicide. Earlier this month, when the DOJ released a set of 30,000 pages of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, which included prominent American figures such as Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, and Bill Gates, Trump expressed disappointment and said that he didn't like the photos of Bill Clinton being released from the Epstein files, calling the move terrible.
Were you surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton in the Epstein files? And can you commit to their
By
full...
what?
And were you surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton in the Epstein files? And can you commit to their full release by the end of the year? Some of the victims were protesting that too many of them were redacted.
I know there are a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, but I think it's terrible. Look, I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for. So they're giving their photos of me too. Everybody was friendly with this guy, either friendly or not friendly, but he was around. He was all over Palm Beach and other places. The head of Harvard was his best friend, Larry Summers, and Bill Clinton was a friend of his. But everybody was. I actually threw him out of Mar-a-Lago, and as a person that was in Mar-a-Lago, I threw him out. This is Mar-a-Lago. It's the hottest place I think it's the hottest place in the world, but it's the hottest place in Florida. And everybody would come here. He'd come here. We actually threw him out. But no, I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy. He can handle it. But you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein many years ago, and they're highly respected bankers and lawyers and others, and they'll end up, because of guys like Massie, who's a real lowlife, whose polls are down to about 9%, by the way, in the great state of Kentucky. If you look at Kentucky, Kentucky is such a great place, but I don't know, they've got a couple of people in there that are very strange in terms of leadership, but Massie's a loser, and he likes it, and that he works with the Democrats. He's just being used by the Democrats, because what this whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has. Like, for instance, today we're building the biggest ships in the world, most powerful ships in the world, and they're asking me questions about Jeffrey Epstein. I thought that was finished. I believe they gave over 100,000 pages of documents, and there is tremendous backlash. It's an interesting question, because a lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with him because he was at a party, and you ruin a reputation of somebody. So a lot of people are very angry that this continues. A lot of Republicans are angry because of the fact that it's just used to deflect against a tremendous success. Look, we have $18 trillion coming into our country. I believe we're going to have the most successful economy in history. We inherited a mess. Now prices are coming way down. Gasoline is less than $2 in some states, $1.99, $1.97, $1.95 a gallon. $1.95. Think of that. A gallon. Nobody ever thought they'd see that. They don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about Epstein. And the problem is a lot of Democrats are being caught up in the web, like Larry Summers. Larry Summers was the head of Harvard. He's now been forced to resign from every board he's on, and he was thrown off the Harvard board. He was at Epstein's Island a lot. I wasn't. I never went there, by the way. But fortunately, it's nice. But I never went there. But a lot of people did go there.
The legislation, passed by Congress with wide bipartisan backing, mandates the public release of all files related to Epstein, despite months of resistance from Trump to keep them sealed. The law set a December 19th deadline for disclosure, allowing limited redactions to safeguard victims.
Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, may I inquire as to how much time I have?
You have 17 minutes remaining.
I yield myself 2 minutes.
Gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, today's an extraordinary day in this chamber. If my colleagues will vote for this measure, we'll see justice triumph over politics. Truth will triumph over deception and obfuscation. Transparency will triumph over dark money. Partisanship will fall away to bipartisanship. Grassroots, the people, will reclaim the people's house with this vote. It's going to be a victory for survivors, not just survivors of the Epstein sex trafficking scandal, the 1,000 survivors that exist. Some of them are victims. They're no longer alive. Some have committed suicide. They share one thing in common. Their youth was robbed from them. Much of their lives were robbed from them, but they're claiming it back. We're going to help them claim that back. But it's not just a victory today, if this vote prevails for those survivors. It's a victory for every person, man or woman, boy or girl, who's been victimized sexually in this country. Anybody who's been a victim of sexual assault, or maybe they've been victimized by a family member. Maybe it's not a billionaire, but they're all waiting and watching to see what we do today. They're wondering, if I go to mom or dad, will anything happen? If I go to the sheriff, will anything happen? Well, we have a chance today to make something happen, something that's not happened, something that should have happened decades ago, and that is to get justice for these victims and survivors and transparency for America. That's what this vote is about today.